dub dub. Doobie doobie da, doobie doobie dub dub. Doobie doobie da, doobie doobie dub dub. Doobie doobie da, doobie doobie dub dub.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists. And we all love a good cup of joe. And there's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. Bold, robust, delicious. It's coffee that can wake the dead. With over a dozen different roasts and flavors, Deadly Grounds can satisfy the most finicky of coffee addicts. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting. Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Just do it for like 55 minutes and just talk about the movie.
55.
Yeah. We are live talking about This Is Our Home, available now on VOD. Is it? Well, you know what? We'll get it right into it. With us today, we have Kevin.
What's going on, everybody?
Tony.
What is going on, people?
Okay, first guest of the evening. Hopefully I pronounced this right. Jeff Ayers.
That's me.
So you're producer, actor from This Is Our Home, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then next we have Simone Polisano. I should have asked prior.
I think it's funny that you were like, hopefully I get this right. Jeff Ayers?
Right, I thought I
Usually mine is the rough one, yeah.
Yeah.
C, I've never heard that one.
Polisano, whatever. I can be Polisano if that's helpful for you.
And we're talking about This Is Our Home. Would you guys like to give a brief synopsis of the movie?
Polisano, take it away.
Fine. This Is Our Home follows a young couple, Corey, who Jeff plays, and Raina, who I play, who have been going through a personal tragedy, and they're kind of not doing great as a couple. So Corey decides to take Raina up to her parents, like her childhood. Her parents live for the weekend, and it's going to be just the two of them, a fun weekend getaway. And they start reconnecting, and things are kind of starting to go well between them again. And then in the middle of the night, there's a knock at the door, and this kid shows up, and he thinks that they're his parents, which is confusing because they're not his parents. And so they decide to take him in for the night. You know, he's hurt his hand, and it's 3:00 in the morning, and it's like, well, go to the police in the morning, it's fine. So they take him in for the night, and because it's a horror movie, the rest of the film takes place over that night, and everything, you know, goes crazy.
Yeah.
Spirals a little bit. And he has the name of the kid, like our favorite baby name.
Right.
He shows up and he thinks that's his name. So it's pretty freaky right from the start too.
Yeah.
Corey doesn't love it. He's not into it.
No. I wouldn't either. If some random kid showed up, it's like, hey, I'm the kid, you know, whatever, mommy. I'm like,
Right.
Exactly.
is there something you need to tell me? Like, you have a kid that old? How? But
The
so
math doesn't add up.
I was going back and forth with a friend of mine. First off, I watched the movie twice. I watched it last night and I watched it again today.
Well,
just
thank
because
you.
Well,
I hope you purchased it both times.
we had screeners.
Fine,
So I didn't. But I will. How about that?
you.
Yeah.
With your $4.
Yeah. Leo would ask me a question in like the chat, and I was just like, you made me want to go back and kind of rewatch it, you know?
That's good.
Yeah, but it's because he's just like, wait a minute, I don't know if it's this. And I'm like, not everything has to have an answer. That's what makes it creepy.
There you go. It's definitely
Thank you.
it's definitely a movie that there's many different interpretations on, and also, you know, every time you watch it, you can be like, oh, maybe it's that, or maybe it's this. But ultimately, you know, you're not going to know the answer, but that's kind of what makes it interesting.
Right. And one of the things I liked, I mean, there's a few little things that I was impressed with. So the movie starts, and it's kind of a slow burn. I'm a fan of slow burn. I'm a big like Ty West fan, and like I really enjoy a story, and I want to get interested in the characters. I want to have something there that I care about. Because if it's just some random character that something bad happens to, like, who cares? But if I'm following the story, and I assumed that the movie was going to go a different way.
Well, that's good.
What were you expecting?
Well, just from the beginning, from Jump Street. I don't know why I said that.
23 Jump Street. That's actually what we made.
Yeah. So, like right away, like when you get the, I mean, I don't know if I'm giving too much away, but when you get the flat tire, and you know, some people come up to assist. I just like, oh, this is just going to be like a movie where these people are going to get tormented in the woods. We've seen this all before, whatever. I just assumed it was like that kind of movie. And then I was like, wait a minute, we haven't seen these people the rest of the time. Like, this is completely different.
A red herring, perhaps.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, but I really respected that, because I mean, not that movie is like, that kind of movie is like bad, but it's been done quite a bit. So it's good to see a little bit of a twist, and it threw me for a loop.
Well, with that scene, the reason I like it a lot is it does play with those expectations, and you realize that the person who did the worst thing in that scene was my character, and not the two strangers on the side of the road.
Right.
And that kind of sets the stage.
And they can you know, they can sense that you guys are just uncomfortable, so they're just like, oh, let's just mess with these people in the woods. But
also, I think to your point of like what's been done before and what hasn't, while we were making it, there was moments when us and Omri Durrani, who directed it, we all looked at each other and we were like, I wonder if anyone's gonna like or get this movie. Like, are we making a movie that makes any sense? And then we all kind of collectively agreed that they're like, you know, we're trying to do something that we had not seen done before. We're trying to like ask questions about things and sort of stylistically create things that are like less common. And so, you know what, let's swing for the fences and try to do something cool and new, and see, some people will love it, some people will hate it. But that I think felt more exciting to all of us than just making like a middle of the road
Right.
movie. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but something we were trying to do was like explore sort of weird shit.
Right. And that's when I was chatting with another friend earlier today. I was telling him, I'm like, you need to check this out. Like, I told him it's a slow burn. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of dialogue, but it really gets to you. And, it threw me for a loop, So I was like, you need to check it out just because it's something different, because we all watch a ton of horror. So it's like, we see the same stuff over and over again. So,
well, and that's what's ideal for horror is I feel like half of the movies, even that like Simone and I watched leading up to this, was just friends recommending horrors, or we would watch something and then immediately tell 10 friends to watch it. Yeah, that's the dream when you make something like this, that you would actually tell somebody to go watch it.
Right. And it sticks out.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Leo.
Speaking of getting people to watch it, if you want to learn more about it, there's information in the show notes down below or up above, depending on where you're watching or listening. And we have a ton of people in the chat room. If you have questions, please feel free to post them. And actually, I'm going to play the trailer right now. And I mean, this is a great thing about this movie is it leaves so much for interpretation. Because Kevin, when you were describing that scene, I had a totally different take on it.
Really?
Yeah, totally. I thought the movie was going in a completely different direction, and then I told
than what I thought.
Oh yeah, totally. And I told Simone and Jeff my thoughts, which is different from what I thought in the beginning. But you know what? Enough of me talking. Here's the trailer.
What's wrong?
Zeke. Hello, is anybody home?
I think I'll go with Walter.
What? You don't like Zeke?
Check-in is to your right.
So we could like live here, huh? Right?
What happened?
Daddy did it.
Why are you so afraid of this boy?
Hey, where'd you come from, man?
Hey.
Mommy, the monsters turned out the lights.
Is that all you got? Is that as fast as you got? Because I'm gonna get you!
I mean, Mommy disappeared.
Tell me where she is.
I will. First, we have to do something. I didn't mean to scare Daddy. Right! Why did you let Daddy hurt me?
I don't like this game.
Why don't you like it?
Mommy is very scared. You can't be in there.
Come inside, Mommy.
Like throughout the whole movie.
Well, that's what's great with the initial knock on the door too. When people think that they're back, right. I'm always happy about that.
And like, oh, maybe it's their kid, or one of their kids, and he's just using them as a whatever, and then down the road,
decoy.
Right.
Speaking of being back, we are back, and we're talking about the movie This Is Our Home with Jeff and Simone, and Sergio's in the chat room. Angela says hi. A bunch of people watching. So like I said, if you have questions about the movie, just feel free to post them in the chat room, or if you have questions about filmmaking in general, acting in general, please post them. And Tony,
you were saying something while we were as soon as we went to the trailer, you're like, hey, you know what I liked is boop 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 boop.
Yeah, well, I wanted to kind of throw it out there so it's not like a spoiler or anything, but as I'm watching the movie, if anybody watching, I mean, it's not on the horror spectrum, it's more like a Disney movie. I think actually it is a Disney movie, but The Odd Life of Timothy Green, the movie kind of had me, it's like a upside down version of it, because at that point in time it's just like I guess you would call it a darker version of it, where I don't want to give too much away, but let's just say one of the characters is, brought into the situation, but in the family-friendly version, it's one way, and in this version, it's a little bit different. So I don't want to give.
It's family-friendly.
What?
You don't think ours is family friendly?
Well, I mean,
time to
you know,
time.
in some people look at it and be like, oh, you know,
Depends how
perfect
old your
family.
kids are, I think.
Yeah, this is true. You know, it could bring the family together and, you know, have a wonderful time watching it.
Yeah. So Jeff and Simone, have you guys worked together? I know you'd said you had done some sketch stuff in the past. Have you guys worked together a lot?
Yes. We had a couple New Yorker videos. The Comedy Central one that we mentioned where we did the Stars Born parody. She played Lady Gaga. I played Bradley Cooper. What was that?
We just worked, like, we've done a couple shorts and just like.
Yeah, a lot of different stuff.
Well, you could tell there was a definite, you know, because sometimes you watch a movie and it doesn't seem like they mesh very well, kind of deal. But in yours, I mean, it seemed like you know,
Right.
were actually, you know, a believable couple. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's like,
Exactly. I when I was watching, I'm like, I wonder. Like, I was actually thinking, I'm like, how uncomfortable would it be if like you just met each other and they're doing these scenes, and like the scenes aren't overly like graphic or anything, but it's still it seemed very intimate, you know. And I'm like, that's another reason why I couldn't be an actor. Besides all of this, but
well, yeah, when we were actually dating when Omri wrote the film with Rob, or when he came up with it and wrote it, and Rob Harmon wrote it. So they were sort of crafting it around knowing that we were good at working together. Also, although I think one of the things, and Simone, you can talk to this too, obviously, but like everyone says, oh yeah, well that makes sense because you had the chemistry there. Most of the movie we hate each other and we're like yelling at each other and stuff, so it was still a lot of work.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I've like obviously like, you know, like we're incredibly close, and when you have that bond with someone, when you need to like go to really kind of deeper emotional places, there's a lot of history there, so you are comfortable with them. But there was also like Jeff said, a lot of this movie is these people being really awful to each other, and that was really hard. I mean, there's one there's the climax of the movie sort of towards the end, but there's one scene where I mean, my character like screams at him, and there, you know, a lot happens, but in this sort of last climactic scene, we really say terrible things to each other and do terrible things to each other. And every take, it was like after we would, you know, they'd say cut and we'd sort of reset and be like, okay, how we doing? Like we, you know, kind of checking in with each other because it would just get really intense. But after we finished wrapping that scene, I like took a walk down the road and like cried a little bit and like got some real stuff out and had to like decompress, because it's really hard to go to like very scary places with like people that you really know and love. And I think what was really interesting about our movie was that it was so homegrown. Like Jeff and Omri have known each other for years, and we shot in my mother's actual house, and like Jeff and I were dating, and like the whole thing was just very kind of meta and wonderful, but that also makes it a very intense process.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
and not you know, but for real, like you guys could like, it's like a light switch. It's like you guys are this all lovey dovey, then all out of nowhere it's just horrible.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
In Jeff, your character is a dick. I'm just saying.
Yeah, thank you.
What do you mean? What did I do?
You know, it's funny. It's funny because like, you know, something bad happens, and I was kind of like, good, you know. He kind of deserves it.
Having a lot. Thank you.
That's always the fun debate though, between like audience members and things like that. Like who's the bad guy? Because some people get really upset when I say like, yeah, well, my character's like horrible. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, you need to do some work, bro. You need to do some.
I think you're perfect. Yeah.
Well, and also, like we remember that when the film came out, when did the film come out? A month ago? A couple weeks ago? I don't know, whatever. When the film came out, I got a Twitter DM from a random human who I don't know that was like, Raina, like you're such a bitch, you're such a terrible person. How could you do that to him? And I was like, one, she's a fictional character.
Yeah.
Like, and he like was so, and I was like, okay, well, like not really me, but like glad that was your take. And it was like, yeah, like she's such a horrible person. And it's like fair, okay, she like isn't great to him at the end of the movie, but he's not great to her for most of their
movie. Yeah.
So what are you gonna do?
Yeah. That's I think that's hilarious when people are like, you're horrible. It's like it's a you're a character. Like it's
right. You know this.
Did you
when
find
did this happen, Simone?
When did right when it came out, like a couple days later, I got some random Twitter. I was like, thanks for watching.
It's either reality or it's like the best shot documentary ever.
Right.
Like, perfect sound. A weird kid just shows up. By the way, he's the character is weird. The kid himself isn't weird. I thought the kid was great.
He's a great kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so is he someone that auditioned, or is he someone that you guys knew as well, or how did that all work out?
You want to take that, Jeff?
He auditioned. We had, I don't know how many, like almost 10 kids or something come up to New York.
Yeah.
Omri had posted on a bunch of different sites, and Drew came up with his mom, like 6-hour drive from Pittsburgh, and we saw him from 10 minutes, and he blew us away, and then he had to drive 6 hours back. But yeah, he was great. He was a really thoughtful, asked a lot of really smart questions. He called Omri Mr. Omri, which then I was wondering if I was supposed to be doing that too. I don't know.
He was great, and he was so down to play. And I think with nowadays with things like Stranger Things or like these shows that have like really amazing kids, I think there's this idea of like there's all these great kids out there, it must be so easy to cast kids. And I think it's kids and animals, I think, are both, you got to find the right ones because they can be really amazing or really tough. And I think that with a kid, you have long shoot days. It's an intense film, and there's a lot going on. He has to do on-set schooling, and like they have to have a sort of very strong stamina, and also be a good actor, and also like be mature enough they're not going to drive the crew crazy. Like we have a really annoying kid running around set for a 10-hour day, like that's a lot. And Drew is he's such an old soul. He felt like this sort of middle-aged man in this wonderful 10-year-old body, and he was great.
And let's not forget Apple shampoo. Am I right, Kat?
That's the most important.
That alone is just a teaser. You need to see the movie to know what I'm talking about.
Next hit song.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a remix. It had some like in the background. It'll be good. But no, he was great. Like it's one of those situations where you see a child actor and like they really killed it. Like there's some that like they're good, but some of them are just like wow. Even with Stranger Things, like. I think all the kids are great, but the one who plays 11, I'm like, I can't wait to see what she's going to do in her career. Like, it's going to be sick. And same thing with this kid,
And
like,
also, I want to give Omri a lot of credit because I think that the way that he worked with Drew was also amazing. He got a really strong performance out of him. The way that I like to put it is, I think rather than trying to get Drew to like come to our movie, he really brought the movie to Drew, and Drew is so interesting and has his own eccentricities and mannerisms and is just like a really interesting kid that he would sometimes like for scenes when it was Drew and I just like hanging out, sitting on the floor doing something, he would just have Drew and I sit on the floor and kind of never say action and not tell Drew that he was being filmed, and just Drew and I would just be talking, and then they would be filming it, and that would end up in the movie because it was so natural and casual and things like shampoo and these little just Drew-isms.
There was one little scene that I was like, this looks like it's real. It looks like it was a real thing. When you guys were filling up the tub and he dropped the thing in and it like kind of like blooped. And like you guys were like giggling. I'm like that was real. Like that wasn't an act right there.
No, it was great. And also just like the one thing that the story I like to tell about Drew, I was really blown away. There's one scene where she tucks him into bed and you're supposed to be a little uncomfortable like by him because he's a strange kid, you know what's going on. And he like sits up and kisses her on the lips, like in this weird like goodnight moment, but you're like, wait, what? And it's like supposed to be kind of jarring and uncomfortable. And we're all very sensitive to making everyone on set feel comfortable and like that, being a moment. And we didn't want to make too much of a big deal of it. We didn't want to freak him out or anything, but we explained what was going to happen. And he was like, okay, cool. And then we did a take and they said cut. And he immediately, this 10-year-old kid looked at me. He's like, did you feel safe? Like, was that okay? Like, were you comfortable? And I was like, this is it. I was like, this is exactly, thinking about all the shit that goes on film sets and people don't feel safe. And I was like, this 10-year-old kid after every take was checking in with me. And I was like, this kid's it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. The one thing, that's cool too, is it's such a small cast, but I mean, I can't even imagine it with more. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's the amount that's there. I think is perfect for the story and perfect for the movie. And I don't know. I mean, I just thought it was really well done. I was pretty impressed by it. So good job, guys. Yeah.
It's a small movie, but mighty, small but mighty.
Yeah. And the thing that kills me too, and it's just because people just have to be negative. But I was on IMDb, and of course, some people either love it or they absolutely hate it. And the one thing I have to say is that the people that absolutely hate it never really explain why they hate it.
Well, those are the people that probably didn't watch the movie and just have to. I think we went over this many a times where it's one of those things where especially people who claim to be critics, have to have something bad to say to, I guess, put credit to them or something.
Right.
But along those lines, it's like, if I'm going to read something, I never go by critics to begin with, but if I'm going to read something, I want to, know why you didn't like it.
Exactly.
If you're just going to it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, well, at that point in time, that's one person I'm not going to listen to because you didn't break it down.
Yeah.
And very few people go to IMDb when they love a movie and rate it, but they always go when they.
Right. Exactly. Just like I worked in retail forever. There's always a customer service line, and it's very rare that anyone has anything good to say when they call the customer service line. It's usually to complain. So, call and be like, I just want to say you guys are great. It's always like, you didn't do this. I want my money back. Whatever. Blah blah blah. Like, people don't use that outlet to be like, this is awesome. So that's why I try to, just because, it needs to be done for all these other people. I always go through and I thumbs down all of their negative things. I'm like, there's no reason. If they can explain why they don't like it, that's fine. I'm fine with it. But if they're just like, this movie's a waste of time, don't watch it. I'm like, thumbs down. That did nothing for me. Like, in any way.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying this before. Like, I think we all were like, we'd rather make a movie that many people might be like, the hell was that? But the people who like it are like, I see what you did there. I see what you did creatively. It was interesting and weird and cool and like grappling with interesting things.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I have nothing against, I know, was it Martin Scorsese or I think who just got yelled at for being like Marvel movies aren't like real movies or something.
Oh, that was the whole thing. Yeah.
I don't agree with that. Like, I think they're all movies and they're all just very different from each other. And I think
they're movies, they're not films. No.
Right. But I think that they should all be allowed to exist. It's why I think like the Oscars are actually like incredibly stupid because they pit movies against each other that shouldn't even be in conversation with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this has the amount of money that we made our film for is maybe like a third of one day of shooting on a Marvel movie. Wow. I mean, it's such a different thing. So there's room for all of it, I think.
Yeah, totally. I agree 100%. Like, I love like classics. I love The Godfather. I love, all these, but at the same time too, I love Basketball and Mallrats. It's like,
right.
Those are the cheese. Like, I just love like cheese, and I'm going to sit down and watch Basketball more than I'm going to sit down and watch Goodfellas. I love them both. Goodfellas is a much better movie, but I can actually stomach Basketball more often,
But
I just rewatched Step Brothers, so what does that say?
Oh yeah, yeah, and that movie's fantastic.
But it's like one of those things with music and movies, certain moods you're in, you want to watch or listen to certain things. So if I'm, feeling a certain way, I'm going to watch, a comedy or a horror movie or something like that. So, there's so many different things on different spectrums. And I like, especially nowadays, the horror movie genre is so saturated. I want to see some, sometimes it'll be a little bit too different, too out there, but I also, I'm more inclined to watch it and see, I might like it, I might not, but I'd rather see something like that as opposed to the same cookie cutter movie that, okay, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. I know this is going to happen by the end of the movie. I already know what, but I don't even have to watch the end because I know what's going to happen. So I'd rather watch a movie, at this point in time, Leo has a certain aspect about it. Kevin does. I do. There's other movies. It's like, okay, everybody thinks the same thing. This one, everybody has a different interpretation of it. And
which is,
I think it makes it a lot better.
Right. I agree. And the one thing that may be a disservice is that it's, I mean, I absolutely love horror, but because it says it's a horror romance, there's a lot of people like that are huge horror fans, but they're also like very strict about their horror. Like, it's not a gore fest from beginning to end. They're like, I don't like this. This is garbage. So
yeah, it's a little psychological thriller more than horror.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, and that's the thing is like, you get like, and I don't get me wrong, I love the gore fest as well, but to scare me is another story. Like, I love like looking at like practical effects and like just like, oh, that kill was ridiculous. But if you can creep me out, that's huge.
Well,
you know?
also the gore that it did have was pretty like I turned away. That was pretty fucked up.
I think it's interesting because a lot of people we've been talking to about it have talked about like, and there isn't gore and it's really kind of more intensely psychological. And I think I was really proud of the way that we did it, where there's pretty much like one moment of like intense physical violence, and it's like at the end of the movie, and it's there and then it's gone. And I think we saved it because you really get super saturated with it and you get desensitized to it if you see it for the whole movie.
Right.
Now, I've seen Saw 1 through 8 like many times. I love the Saw movies and that's the hill I will die on. But you get to the fifth person whose organs are falling out and you don't even clock it as like, real anymore. Whereas I think when you have the emotional buildup and you're actually invested in the people and you're invested in their relationship, then the violence that they bring onto each other feels justified and you actually care that it's happening.
Right. And that's yeah. That's what I like about it. And I mean, I think it's something this is one of the ones that I'm going to recommend to a lot of people to check out. And it may go either way, because there's a lot. I mean, there's been a handful of these movies that I'm like, you need to check this out. And I'm like a champion of this movie. And some people just don't dig it. Other people are just like, this is amazing, But so yeah, I mean, this is one I'm going to tell people to check out for sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Baby Herman says, looks good. I'll be ordering it tonight. Speaking of that, where is it available? Is it physical media, VOD?
iTunes, Amazon, physical media. Yeah. VOD also, if you have cable.
Nice.
Yeah, big fan of physical media over here.
Yeah.
I see that.
So, is it DVD and Blu-ray or just DVD or?
I think just DVD. Sorry.
That happens.
Oh, Tony.
Oh, Tony.
What's a boy to do?
Had to make me feel bad.
No, because that's the one thing is, people are getting away from, like, especially small independent movies, they're getting away from doing the Blu-rays because it costs more money.
Yeah.
Or they give away an iTunes subscription with it, or like an iTunes version too, so that you maybe have a prayer of buying the physical media.
Yeah, but yeah, with a lot of the independents that are out there, we've been seeing a lot of it just DVD releases. But it's one of those things where if it's a big enough following, we're hoping that some of these will get the Blu-ray releases. But so like for filming this movie, I know you said it was someone you said it was your mom's house.
Mm-hmm.
And how long did the whole process take? Like, how long did you have your mom's house for?
So my mom has a house in upstate New York in Woodstock, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but it was 11 days that we shot it in.
Yeah, 10 or 11. Yeah.
And so we were up there. I will let Jeff talk about this one if he wants to, but we sort of had a scare right in the very beginning because like 2 days before we were going to start shooting, Jeff needed to get his appendix removed. And that's not so fun. And so we were like, oh, is this going to ruin our whole, like, we have 10 days to make this movie. We can't just push shooting back a month. Like, that doesn't happen in the indie world. We were very lucky that we were able to like shift around the schedule a little bit. So we front loaded all of the stuff that was just Drew and I, and he was able to come up earlier to give Jeff a couple days, but Jeff really only got like 2 or 3 days of recovery, and then we were kind of jumped in it. So it was very short. It was like a 10-day process.
Wow.
Probably permanent damage.
How's your scars doing, Jeff? How we doing?
They're great. All emotional now.
Fantastic. Top-notch scars.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. I mean, talking about the bad comments and all this stuff, it's just like, this is why I love doing shows like this, because you never know what goes on behind the scenes. And this, the movie we liked a whole lot, and if you didn't know that, it just adds to the how much I like the movie, because the stories that go behind and the independent stuff, you have no idea, and then people look at it and be like, oh, this is the worst thing. It's like, do you know what goes behind it? You like
gave us some appreciation from that aspect too,
and it's just like, so doing interviews like this and all that stuff, it gives me that much more of an appreciation for it. I mean, I'm sure it happens on the bigger budget films too, but at that point in time, you know, what's another $100 $1 million for a few extra days, as opposed to, you know,
some of the bigger budget stuff though, it's like if you interview like, you know, De Niro or something, he'd be like, yeah, craft services messed up one day. Like that was like the
right.
You know, there's no appendix issue.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming this was a long time ago.
It's just a lesson in like you just have to figure out, and I think it's made me. I really like to get an independent movie to even to a public enough place that anybody can even see it, to have an opinion on it, like to see it, to hate it and rip it to shreds. You have succeeded. Like it's so hard to make a movie, and it's so hard to get it on a platform that that other people can, you know, buy it. That I think it's really like, you know, everyone's, you know, shitting all over the new Grudge movie. It has like an F on Rotten Tomatoes, and people are like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. I saw it yesterday. Certainly like wasn't my favorite movie, but I was like, you know what, this like, and there's, you know, one actor who I who I really recognize, but it feels indie. It certainly had more money than like we had, but it clearly wasn't made for a lot of money. And I was like, there's some great elements of this. Like, why do we have to immediately tear everything down if everything's not Hereditary? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's all kinds of levels of.
Yeah. But that being said, Hereditary was great. But
Hereditary had half the budget of the new Grudge and wasn't a remake, so I'm still pro.
Hereditary is phenomenal, but I just think there's room for.
There totally is. But I like that there's stuff like Hereditary that's being released in the theater. It shows hope because everything else is a remake. And don't get me wrong, there are some decent horror remakes out there, believe it or not. But there's also a lot of garbage. But I don't know.
But also, I mean,
The Ring was a remake.
Oh yeah, Ringo. I have the original set, like the Japanese set. But yeah, and The Grudge is a remake of Ju-on. And then now there's a remake of the American remake.
Yeah. They're remaking Memento too, which is.
Are they really?
Are they really?
Heartbreaking.
What?
I don't know.
Some things should be off limits.
Yeah, totally.
I think a lot of things should be. You know,
there's enough independent artists out there and writers that have original ideas. Let's start working with some of them.
It's so funny. It's in the TV world too. Like in the past like month, Disney Plus is doing a bunch of reboots. They're doing like, I auditioned for like the Mighty Ducks reboot and like A League of Their Own. They're turning into like a half-hour comedy, and I'm like, why? I don't know.
Wow. But if you get it, I'll watch it. So,
I always wanted to see the dark, gritty Mighty Ducks reboot, so I'm glad that happened.
Still from Jon Favreau. It's like
well,
same budget as The Mandalorian.
If it's Disney Plus, it's not going to be dark and gritty though. It's going to be
that's true.
China approved, family approved. You know, Mandalorian. You had Baby Yoda.
Yeah, but everything else.
Okay, I'm gonna issue a controversial hot take here. Baby Yoda freaks me out. I don't like looking at it. It makes me so uncomfortable. I don't know. Like, ugh. That's my take on Baby Yoda.
He's a Mogwai that's in transition from a Mogwai to a Gremlin. Like
he reminds me of like a Furby or like a Gremlin, and those things freaked me out when I was a kid.
It does look like a Gremlin without hair.
Right. He looks like Gizmo.
Well, they had like a side-by-side comparison. Yeah. And it was just like...
Actually, Christopher Ott, who has London 1888, he did a T-shirt mashup. It's the picture of Gizmo in the radio-controlled car with the Christmas, like the Santa Claus hat, but he put Baby Yoda in there instead. So it fits perfectly. But
actually, another one I saw, custom art was saying Baby Yoda is, if there's a Baby Yoda, there's also... what is it?
The Spice Girls.
Yeah, the Spice Girls. Yeah, and
Posh Yoda, whatever the other one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think Scary Spice was the one of the gremlins. Yeah.
It was whatchamacallit. I saw. I don't know why we're just talking about Baby Yoda now. Sorry. It was Baby Yoda, and he was wearing his his robe, and then it showed him take the robe off, and he was.
And he's like,
he was
like built,
abs and everything. I was like, all right.
Corner of the internet, I don't need to be.
All right with it. So you guys have any other comments about Baby Yoda that we'd like to bring up?
Well, actually, Sergio is wanted to bring us back to horror. Wanted to ask.
No way.
You have Yoda scary, not?
Yeah, totally. I wanted to ask Jeff and Simone, what are some of your favorite horror movies?
We talked about Hereditary. Sixth Sense is a big one for me.
I love The Ring. We were just talking about The Ring. That was one of the first horror movies I saw that like freaked me out.
Oh yeah, just the TV scene alone, like coming out of the TV, I was like, holy crap.
Yes.
I loved the Poltergeist as a kid.
Still my jam.
That one messed me up. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I still
And
like,
then that remake kind of.
yeah, the remake. Yeah, that's not one of the good ones, but they still like to this day. Even though I know the clown is there and I know when it's going to happen, it still gets me every time. I'm like, oh, there it comes. Oh my God. Like, I don't know.
I love the original It. I really do like the remakes too. But It is great. Also, I mean, and this is like horror, psychological thriller, dark comedy. I don't know. I'm assuming you guys have all seen Parasite. I like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That just won. Didn't that just win like a Golden Globe? Yeah. I didn't watch the award. Someone at my work was telling me about it, but yeah, I just recently saw that. And I thought it was great.
Brilliant. I think this like new wave, largely led by Jordan Peele, of horror movies that are kind of wrapped in like comedic elements that have like important things to say about the world. I think it's a really kind of cool genre of horror, because I think people write off horror a lot, and it's like, oh, it's people slashing each other, and like, you know, it's a bunch of like dumb hot kids go to like a beach house and get murdered. And I think that there's a lot.
Cabin in the Woods. There
you go. It's a great movie, but yeah, you know.
So one thing we bring up, I mean, I bring up to a lot of people because like, oh, horror, blah, 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 blah. But we go to a lot of horror conventions and stuff. You don't have rom-com conventions. You don't have.
Why not?
I mean, it's all, I'm going to just use the same bad joke, but it's all just like booths with like photos of people like leaning back to back. Like, hey.
It's perfect. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the fanatic, you know, aspect of horror is phenomenal, you know. And at the same time too, a lot of the actors that are, you know, maybe a little past their prime a little bit, they're still at these cons and there's lines of people waiting to meet them. And
yeah, I think that also it's a very accessible genre, like as a filmmaker, because we talked about this a lot when we were making the movie. People don't go to horror movies for the celebrities. People go for the concept. People go to a horror movie that has nobody that they know in it if it's a really cool concept. And so it's, in terms of like selling a movie and getting people to see a movie, it's really hard to do without some sort of celebrity face, except in the horror genre, where it's, you can have a movie full of nobodies and people will be like, oh, I hear it's about, you know, whatever the cool tagline is. That's an interesting concept. I'm going to go see that.
That's a good point. Yeah. I don't know why I never thought of it that way, but yeah, it's a totally good point. Now, have you guys.
The same with comedy.
Yeah, exactly. You need to have a name, unfortunately, because there's a lot of great independent comedy too, but it's, you know, I don't know, it's tough for you guys. I respect it though. So do you guys, because I know you do like sketch comedy and you've done like sketches and stuff like that. Do you guys, have you worked much in horror before this, or is this like your first time?
First time for me, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Same. I loved watching them, but I never made anything in that space.
That's awesome.
But also, and I think Jeff, like we've talked about this before, it is like a horror movie and all that, but we've always said that it's really a movie about these two people's relationship. And that's why, you know, horror/romance is kind of a reductive way to say it, but it has, you know, horror elements, but it's really a movie about like this relationship kind of falling apart. And so it didn't feel, there's like, you know, 2 jump scares or something, but it's really kind of more.
Well, you're not like doing horror acting. You're just acting.
Right.
And then you hope the cinematography and the score does the rest of the work.
Well, it's besides that, like there's that scene in the room that's pitch dark and you're just hearing voices that creeps the hell out of me, like for real. So I don't know. I mean, even, you know, everything like, I don't know. It's just.
Well, that's always great to hear, because when I've seen it so many times now and I just know what's happening and I'm not as nervous. I mean, there's still parts that make me nervous, but it's great because when I remember that everyone else has no idea if it works out okay or not in every scene. Yeah.
Oh, really? So, I mean, I'm just assuming as an artist, I'm sure you guys are judgmental about your work. I'm sure there's things that, you know, like me, like playing music over the years, stuff like that. I'm like, I would hand out CDs to people and be like, here you go, you're going to hate it. And hand it to them. And then if they hate it, I'm like, I told you. And if they don't, I'm like, well, I was wrong.
Yes, I was wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
I think it's always like you watch it and you're like, oh, I wish I had made that choice there, or like whatever. But I think like as a whole, I'm so proud of it, and I think that from an acting standpoint, it was a really cool challenge, like to bring in the female perspective for a second. I think especially as a younger woman, in the entertainment industry, a lot of the time it's a lot about how you look, and they want you to fit into a certain box and this and that. And I spend 98% of this movie with no makeup in my hair and like a tight bun. And it's not about like, oh, she's hot or she's ugly or it's what, like, it's about, I felt like Raina was just a person who was acting, and it's rare that I get to be on a film set and like, hair and makeup like doesn't apply to me, and that was really cool. Like
I got all the makeup in this scenario.
All the hair and all the makeup.
It was a clip-on beard the whole time.
I had to grow that twice.
Did you really?
I picked shoot, so I had to shave the beard and then calculate how long for it to come back exactly the same length, which was challenging.
How long did it take?
It was like a month and a half.
Wow. It was an impressive beard, though. It was quality.
Filmmaking is hard.
What's that?
I said filmmaking is hard, people. Like the beard growth.
Yeah. Joke. That was the hardest part.
And I don't know if I'd be able to grow a beard like that in a month and a half, but I haven't shaved my beard off. I have had facial hair since I was a sophomore in high school, and I'm 44, so it was a long time ago.
A couple of years, yeah.
Just
2 or 3 years. Yeah, well, yeah. Oh, I didn't graduate until I was 35, so I was also very stupid. Sorry. Anyway,
you had a great beard, so you're fine.
What was that?
We had a great beard, so you're fine.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's like Van Wilder.
Yep.
So what do you guys have coming up next? Like, what are you guys working on?
Jeffrey.
Right now, I'm developing a comedy script and another horror script, and so those are just got some good feedback on both of them this week. So pitching them, a couple LA meetings coming up, stuff like that, and also pitching a sketch comedy show with my sketch comedy partner, like a half hour, our own kind of like Key and Peele situation.
Yeah, we need another one. Like, is there really any of them right now? Like, for real? Like,
Netflix is to be bringing it back.
Yeah, Astronomy Club.
What did you say, Leo?
They have a new one called Astronomy Club.
Do they?
Yep. There's that, and then there's I Think You Should Leave, which is like a really weird one on Netflix.
Loved it.
Yeah,
Leo hated it. I thought it was like 3 times all the way through. That dude's hilarious.
When I half watched it, I was really annoyed, and then I watched it and paid attention. I thought it was genius.
Yeah. I don't know. That guy was on SNL for a little bit, and then he had a show called The Twitters that was really good on Comedy Central, and I was like, I wish I saw this guy more. And then all of a sudden, he pops up with this show, and I'm like, holy crap, this is right up my alley. Yeah. I'm a big fan of like Tim and Eric and like just weirder stuff too. Yeah. So I was like, this is right on par with that. Yeah, that's great. No, but I'm not being condescending in any way. Like I would like to see another good sketch comedy show. Like they're just.
Well, I'll try to make it.
Yeah, we were bombarded with them for a while, and then they just all disappeared.
Come in waves. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of sketch.
How about your projects?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Well, right around when This Is Our Home came out, I had another feature that also came out on iTunes, Amazon, DVD. That's called Augie, and it's a sci-fi feature where I play the daughter of Richard Kind, who is an amazing, funny human to work with. And so that was great. So that also is available on the streaming world. I just did a workshop of a new play here in New York, and it always sort of, it's like things start with workshops and then maybe become full productions, and the theater process is its own whole kind of how do things get in front of producers, in the same way that it's hard to make a film, it's hard to make a play happen. But I just did a workshop of a really cool play, so it would be cool if that went somewhere. And then I finally watched enough shows written by young women that star these young women telling like their interesting stories that I said, screw it. So now I'm writing a pilot that I would love to do the same thing with, because it was just time for me to do it. But yeah, so writing and auditioning a lot, and seeing where it fall. Yeah.
Are you guys both like based out of the New York area?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I really like New York. Like at one point in my life, I was gonna move out there, and I just like I can't afford it. What's that?
We'll visit at least. Yeah.
Right.
My
Yeah,
wife-
no one can afford it. I don't know. Like, people keep being like, "Oh yeah, where's like the young like artist community in New York?" And I'm like, they're not in like nowhere. They're not in New York because no one can afford. No artist can afford to live in New York. So
Yeah.
There's a couple cool spots that are like affordable housing for artists and stuff like that, but it's few and far between.
But I'm also not young. So young artist thing, it's passed me a long time ago.
The
middle-aged, not artist.
But you have all of your fingers, so that's right.
Good point. Good point. I've
All right, Tony.
Tony,
It happens.
Tony, are you kidding?
he's got a point. He does have all his fingers.
Yeah.
Ask him about his toes, though. He's losing toes. Just kidding.
So the cool thing is, I mean, you're the second group of filmmakers that we've had on within the last couple of weeks. From the New York, New England area, and a lot of people think if you want to be into filmmaking, you have to go out to the West Coast. But how are you finding working in film and on the East Coast?
There's a lot of TV happens here as well, but there's always going to be a lot in LA. But if you're used to, or if you're okay with the idea of kind of going back and forth and stuff like that, it's really, and you can speak more to this too, but like there's certain auditions that no one will bother sending you for if you're in New York, because you can spit in LA and find somebody who will do that tiny part. But there's a ton of TV out here, and a lot of film stuff with the tax credits in New York. And Philadelphia too, which is where I grew up. There's some studios popping up and some good tax credits down there too. So you can do stuff on the East Coast, especially. Georgia also is a hotbed.
Yeah.
And Canada, there's a lot.
And Canada always, yeah. The amount of times Canada has played New York on screen is crazy.
Yeah, and also like a thing that to Jeff's point about the smaller parts, like the thing that I hear thrown around a lot is like it's which city you want to be in is sort of which show's guest stars do you want to be at. Like for a day of shooting, they're not going to hire someone in LA for a cop show that shoots in New York, and they're not going to hire someone in New York for whatever it is that's shooting out there. They're going to get someone from their own pool. Yeah. But in the digital age, it's so easy as an actor, like auditioning. I send a ton of I do a lot of taped auditions too, and then they'll send that to LA, and you can have a whole sort of interface with the entire industry out there, even being based in New York. So I think being bi-coastal is a lot easier now because it's so digitized.
Yeah. They've been doing a lot of films in this area too, surprisingly, like in the Worcester area.
Cool.
That new, is it Ryan Reynolds? Is it his movie? Leo, the one.
Funny,
the Netflix one or the one that's coming out in theater?
The NPC one, the gaming.
The one where he wakes up in the video game.
Yeah. That was like a lot of that was filmed like right in downtown Worcester.
And that's cool.
Even not Silver Linings Playbook. What was the other one? American Hustle. That was all filmed in Worcester.
Oh, nice. What about like the Fighter or something?
Oh yeah. And then even back like a little while back, like I used to see film crews on the side of the Mass Pike, and they were shooting that show Fringe, that used to be on. We used to drive by them all the time, which I thought was different.
The tax incentives go.
Totally. Yeah, Massachusetts, they legalized weed, and now they are making movies. So yeah, there's that.
Two most important things.
Exactly, legalized movies, and they're filming weed. Anyways, sorry about that. So we should probably start wrapping things up.
We should. What we'll do, I'll play the trailer one last time for everybody still watching, and
cool.
When we get back, we'll wrap it up. Here we go. Okay, minute 43.
Yeah. Is there anything that we missed that you guys want to bring up?
What's wrong?
I don't think so.
No? Cool.
Yeah, I think we hit it all. I'm trying to get anything Omri would want us to say, but I feel like we've said it.
Well, he can't pick, so it's his fault.
Yeah.
We're so screwed.
Just feel like, Omri just texted me and he said,
"You don't like Zeke." I'm there.
You're so good. I got it.
Checking this to your right.
I'm assuming that's what it's
live here, huh? Right?
This is dead on impression.
I've only seen photos.
Yeah. So they get sound on this trailer, right?
They do. They don't hear. Oh, pardon me.
Daddy did it.
Oh, shit. What are you
Why are
doing?
you so afraid of this boy?
Hey, where'd you come from, man?
Hey.
Yeah, they just hear the trailer. They don't hear us.
That you got? That as fast as you got? Because I'm gonna get you!
Or bad mouth.
So this is
I mean, Mommy disappeared.
Tell me where she is.
I will. First, we have to do something.
I had a delayed effect.
didn't
apparently,
mean to
'cause I
scare
just-
Daddy.
Sorry, guys.
You're late.
30
Why don't you
seconds.
let Daddy
Yeah.
hurt me?
It's been a long day.
I don't like this game.
Why don't you like it?
Mommy is
Always trying to
very
get up early to go
scared.
to Vegas to play something. And if any of you,
Guys,
if
you
any of
never-
you think, if you think that sounds appealing, you're right. The flight's actually not until like 10ish or something, but it just
That's-
took
Can't
me
be
so
in
long
there.
to get to Newark that
Come inside, Mommy.
5 seconds.
sorry, the trailer done.
Oh, it is right now. Here we are. We are back. And that was a trailer for This Is Our Home. And if you want to learn more about it, just check out the show notes down below or up above, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. And we'll start with, as soon as the camera switches here. Why is it not switching? Simone, where do you like people following you?
You can check out my Instagram is spolicano, Policano. And then like my website is just SimonePolicano.com. And Twitter is at Simone Policano.
Very creative.
You know what? I'm done with you. Let's hear yours. Let's hear your handle.
I'm Jeff Ayers, and it's at Jeff Ayers, JeffAyars on Instagram and Twitter, or jeffayers.com. So yeah, same deal. First name, last name.
Awesome.
You kind of have to do that, isn't it?
Or if you want some of the comedy stuff, the weirder stuff, Cannibal Milkshake. If you Google that, that's how you find all the comedy. Not much else comes up with those two words.
YouTube channel as well.
YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah.
I'll check it out for sure.
Cannibal and Milkshake.
All right.
Nice.
Sounds delicious.
It's great.
Sounds like something that would be eaten in This Is Our Home.
Maybe in that dark room. Maybe that's why the lights were off.
Well,
Bam.
they
Got
did. They
Spoil
did
it.
have the milk tea.
Yes.
True.
Cannibal Milk Tea. That's the next. That's the spin-off group.
That's what I'm gonna have for bedtime tonight. Yeah.
Tony.
You can find me at Tony Has Nine Fingers on YouTube, where I do movie reviews and such. Tony Has Nine Fingers on Twitter. Tony's Movies on Instagram, where I show off the movies behind me. And of course, here on The Dorkening every Tuesday.
Gavin.
First off, I just want to. I was asked to say this, so I'm saying it. That Strange Show is returning for the next season, and it's on January 18th, and it's the season of sleaze. So the whole season is just like schlocky bad horror movies.
Nice.
So it's gonna be fun. Anyways, you can find me a knuckle at Twitter and on Twitter and Instagram every Sunday on the Dorkening, Tuesday Wicked Horror Show, doing reviews of 13th Wolfman. I'm also part of Secret Underground Hideout and Black and White Fright. And the next thing we have going on is what? Wicked Weekend. That's coming up in February.
That is, February, what is it, 26th?
21st. 21st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Yeah, and that's...
I just heard a lot of dates. So many.
You're gonna have to send an email.
21st to March.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Mystic, Connecticut, though, so it's going to be local, which is good.
Oh, nice.
Local for you,
Mystic,
not for me.
Mystic Pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be local for me because I'm going to sleep on Leo's couch.
Hey, as long as
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't...
by the way, can I sleep on your couch? All right, cool.
Best Airbnb in town.
as long as you don't mind Riley, licking your face.
I don't
Is
care.
that an animal or a person?
It's his wife. Kidding.
It's his wife.
It's
His
our,
wife's amazing. It's not his wife.
it's our chocolate lab. She's adorable.
I'm lactose intolerant, so good luck.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
So,
Sorry,
check...
guys. I just really just fucked shit up on this one, huh?
Yeah,
Sorry, guys.
that's okay.
Oh, we can say that? That's great.
Yes,
Totally.
This whole time, I
we
just like,
started
fuck
over
shit.
again.
I would have dropped so many F-bombs if I known
Yeah.
we'd done
I'm
that.
sorry. I didn't realize that we weren't swearing.
Yeah.
I usually do. Sorry, guys.
Angela also brought up Northeast Collectibles Extravaganza in Boxborough, Massachusetts in March. A bunch of cons coming up. But if you head on over to thedorkening.com, you can find all the information about all the shows on our network. Tons of stuff going on. And with that, I want to thank you for watching. Make sure you check out This Is Our Home, and we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.